All right, so on screen I've got the idle shell and I've got the editor up, and we're going to look at what we call some Python print statement escape sequences. Okay, so we're going to look at those. What are escape sequences? Okay, escape sequences are things that we use following a backslash. Okay, so we looked at two of them already. Okay, backslash n goes to a new line, a backslash t is going to go to a tab. Okay, so let's just begin this example by just repeating those. Okay, so the first one is the new line, which we've seen already. So backslash n. And the example for that, we could do print, and all of these are within double quotes within a print statement. Okay, okay, so line 1, backslash n. Okay, line 2, backslash n. Line 3, double quote, close paren. Okay, so whenever you see one of these, then that just means that the information that follows that will be printed on another line. So this is a new line or a carriage return. So here you see that we did get, with this single print statement, we actually ended up with 3 lines on output. Okay, the second one that we also last time is also escape sequence is tab. Okay, I don't think I need to explain what a tab is. Okay, print, double quote, let's just do 1/t, 2, backslash t, and 3. So this just puts a tab between each one of those string constants. But these do all show up on the same line. Okay, I do have to type it correctly, so it's a backslash there. All right, so we got the new line and we got the tab. Okay, let's look at some more. Now let's suppose that we actually wanted to print out the backslash. Okay, how are we going to go about doing the backslash so that it doesn't indicate an escape character? It says, okay, we really just want to print out a backslash. 3. Okay, print a backslash. Okay, so let's print this out in terms of like a path in Windows. Okay, so double quote, path, colon, and an example of this, we could do C, colon, and if I wanted to print out the backslash, I would need to put 2 of them there. Okay, so C, backslash, backslash, so suppose our folder is temp, backslash, data. All right, so if this is our path, then this would actually print the backslash itself. Okay, so now instead of printing out 2, then you can see that we do get the backslash here. So if you need to actually print out a backslash, then yeah, you can do it using another kind of a weird escape sequence here. Okay, let's suppose we wanted to print out these things. What if we wanted to print out a double quote? Okay, 2 ways to do it in Python. I'll show you both. If you happen to be using a different language, then this works, or these do work in other languages, and the most likely will be C or C++. Now Python is neat because we've got the double quotes for delineators, we've got a single quote for delineators, and I showed you last time, if you start out with a single quote and then you've got a double quote somewhere in there and close it with a single quote, then that works as well. That wouldn't work in C++. So let's just look at another common escape sequence that lets us print a double quote or a single quote. Print a double quote. Okay, so again, we use our backslash sequence to do that. This is a double quote. Okay, so we can do a backslash and a double quote, and then we can close that with another double quote. All right, so we begin. So this quote over here on the left, that starts our string constant. this quote on the end that terminates it. But along the way, we want to actually print out the symbol, the double quote. So by using a backslash before it, we can make that print out. Okay, so here's the double quote, and you can see that we do get the double quote printed out. So we can use these backslash or these escape sequences to make things happen that kind of takes away the power of some of the other stuff that they can do. Okay, moving on, let's do the same thing here with a single quote. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to replace the double quotes with a single quote. Okay, so print a single quote. Okay, so this time my print statement, I'm going to begin it with a single quote. I'm going to end it with a single quote. And if I wanted to actually print out a single quote, I can use a backslash and a single quote here. Okay, so of course there's the single quote. Okay, now I just mentioned we did this last time. With the Python language giving us these two different delineators for string constants, I can use a double quote on the outside, and then I can just use a single quote on the inside. Okay, so Python also lets you do that to print out either a single quote or a double quote. So we can do it either way. Okay, so now you see we get that single quote printed out here as well. All right, so what's next here? So number 6. For number 6, print. Okay, print a $sign and an octothorpe, okay, using the escape sequence. Okay, now, of course you can print those directly because they are characters you can type on the keyboard. But then I'll show you on the next example, there are some things that are not on the keyboard that you might like to print. So let's use something here that we're familiar with. And in order to do that, I want to go get my ASCII table. So under Pages, Class Resources, ASCII table. Then I want to look up the code. So here's the $sign. And I'm going to use the hexadecimal code 24 for that. All right, well, conveniently located next to it there, we have the hashtag or the octothorpe, and it has a code, has a hexadecimal code of 23. So 23 and 24, that's what I want to use. Okay, so print. Okay, so $sign and hashtag, let's call it. Okay, now you can use a backslash and you can use the hexadecimal code. Okay, so we found out that 24, but with the hexadecimal, if you want to represent that, you have to use an X in front of it. Okay, so X24, that's a hexadecimal code, number 24, and that corresponds to a $sign. Okay, I'll put a space there, backslash X and 23, and that will give us the hashtag. And I'll close that, and I'll close the print statement. Okay, so sure enough, look, we get the $sign and we get the hashtag showing up here. So using this escape sequence, and if you know what the code is for that particular character, then you can print that out to the screen. Okay, number 7. Let's print the copyright symbol. And let's also print the omega sign. Okay, now those are not on your keyboard. Okay, unless you got a different keyboard than I've got. You do not have the copyright is the circle with a little C in the middle, and of course omega is the Greek letter. So those are not on your keyboard. So we need to go find those. But if we go take a look at our regular ASCII table, then I don't think it's going to be there either. Okay, so we don't have those special symbols. Okay, so in our standard ASCII table, then those symbols are not there. Okay, I don't see them anywhere at least. Okay, so they're not there. Now you may remember, you remember last time I mentioned that we also have an extended ASCII table. So we looked that up, and I showed you there were a lot of extra characters there. Okay, so if you want to go look for that, and you don't have to right now, I'm just going to tell you what it is. But you would need to go look up the extended ASCII table, and you would find then the hexadecimal codes for those symbols there. Okay, now I'm just going to copy and paste my print statement here, and I'm going to print out the copyright symbol and omega. Okay, now if you go to the extended ASCII table, then you'll find that the hexadecimal value for those is going to be 23. XA2. Okay, so hexadecimal, remember A, that's a perfectly good hexadecimal symbol. So it's going to be A2, and it's going to be I think it's A3, yeah, XA3. And I got one more here in my example. Let's see what we get if we do XA9. So \X, uppercase A, and 9. And I need to put a space between those. All right, so now we get this is the cent sign. That was the other one, okay? So this is cents. Here's the copyright key of the copyright, and that's actually the English pound symbol that I've got right there. All right. Yeah, so I didn't do the copyright one. I did the cent. Okay, the cent symbol and the pound symbol, and then the copy. Oh, that is the copyright. Copyright shows up right there. Okay. Okay, so you get the idea. If you have a table of ASCII characters and you have your extended ASCII character set, then you can print a lot of information to the screen. In a lot of cases, you've got a program that you want to print these special symbols, and those are not on your keyboard, so you have to have a way to do that. So you can use this escape sequence \X here, followed by the hexadecimal code for that symbol, and then you can print that to the screen. So that opens up a lot of additional characters that you can print. All right, now let's expand that a little bit. And number 8 here, print some Unicode characters, or some Unicode encoded characters. All right, so again, remember last time, and we looked up what the Unicode character set had, and it's got 150,000 plus characters, so it has everything. So if you want to go look up some symbols that maybe are in a different language that you want to use, then you'll need to go to the Unicode character set for that, because that is not in our extended ASCII table. All right, so let's print some. Okay, and again, I'm just going to give you the code here, and it'll be a mystery. Okay, print double quote. Okay, Unicode UNICODE, a Unicode character. And it's going to be exactly the same thing, except you do a backslash and you have the letter U. Okay, so backslash U means that this is going to be taken from the Unicode character set. And the one I'm going to print is 03A9. Okay, I need to close with a double quote there. Okay, so this is going to print out some symbol. Let's see what we get. Okay, so that now gives me the omega, the symbol. So the code for that is Unicode 03A9.
How did you know the Unicode?
How did I know that? Well, I looked it up. Okay, I'll show you that in just a minute. And then you can just go and do a Google search for a Unicode character set. I did that last class too, right? So then it might be hard to find it because, my goodness, you got 150,000 characters, right? Excuse me. Okay, I got just a couple more. Number 9. Let's print some Greek letters here. Anybody in a sorority? Okay, print some Greek letters. Okay, so let's do delta, and let's do theta, and let's also do phi here, okay? I can't, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to copy this print statement again, and we just need to add in whatever those codes are. All right, so this again, it'll come from the Unicode character set. So let's do 0394, U0394, okay, space, backslash, Unicode 398, so 0398. And the next one, backslash in 03A6. There, okay, let's see what we get this time. Oh, well, I actually printed out to 03A6 here.
Do backslash in?
Yeah, because I just typed it, right? So I typed an N instead of a U. And I'll do this. Like I told you, I am terrible at typing. And you have to follow the rules. Okay, so there, now we got the Greek letters. Now, maybe they don't look too great because of the simplicity here of this idle, and it doesn't dress things up very well. But you can see that you can get this. And if you've got a more sophisticated environment, you'll get a prettier output from this. Well, let's have a little bit of fun with something else. Print an emoji of a smiley face and a cat. Okay, now I know offhand you know exactly what those codes are going to be. No, you don't. Let's copy and paste this. So there's a couple of them here. So those are going to be, now, you know, the emojis have been added on to our character set here fairly recently, and they tend to be quite long. In fact, the ones that we're looking at here, you know, if you've got 0394, then if each one of those characters, you know, represents a single byte, and you've got each one of those really is 4 bits, right? 0394. You can put those in 4 bits. So 4, 8, 12, 16. So this is like a 16-bit Unicode value. So the emojis are going to be bigger than that, and here they are. Okay, so backslash U, 3 zeros, and then 1F600. 1F 600. Okay, so we'll delete those. All right, and for the other one here, U, we have again 3 zeros, 1F640. And I'll delete the other part here. So that kind of tells me maybe these emojis are pretty much all under the 1F600 category. Okay, so I get a mistake here. Why didn't that come out right? U1F600. Okay, I'm not sure it makes a difference, but I've got an uppercase U over here instead of a lowercase u. Yeah. Okay, so it's got to be an uppercase U. So here, okay, it's not a very good one, but there, there's the smiley face and there's the cat. Okay, so those are all things you can do with escape sequences using the print statement. Now, before I leave this example, I want to show you another thing you can do with print statement, and this does not have anything to do with the escape sequences. Okay, the end equals option for print. All right, so everything that we've done so far, it prints out either on a single line, or if we put a backslash in, it'll move the information across multiple lines. Let's move this up the screen a little bit here. Okay, so I could print double quote CS104. Okay, close double quotes, and it'll print CS104. Okay, so here we get CS104. Okay, now it turns out that there is a default print option. There's pretty much a default for everything, so there has to be, right? But this is equivalent to doing print double quote CS104 double quote comma end equals double quote backslash n. Okay, so we're going to still bring in the escape sequence to go to a new line, but if I run this program, then I'll get exactly the same output. See, CS104, CS104. But there's a built-in default for end equals backslash n, which means go to a new line. Okay, so every time you use the print statement, it's going to go to a new line, unless you tell it differently. So let's do print here, and let's skip a line or two. Okay, so if I do a print backslash n, that just means I'm going to skip a couple of lines here on my shell. Just put some blank lines in there. Now, okay, let's print. Okay, C double quote CS104 double quote comma end equals, and then two single or double quotes together. Okay. And then I'm going to print the same thing again. Let's do print double quote CS104 double quote, and then just close the parentheses there. No end equals. Okay, now watch what happens. These come out on the same line. Okay, so if I have CS104 end is equal to nothing, or just two double quotes or two single quotes together, then that means that I do not want to go to a new line. So I'm telling the print statement, when you get to the end of this line, just stay where you are. The following print statement then is going to print on the same line as the previous one, and you can see that here. So you have some control then over how your print statement works as far as going to a new line or doing something else. Okay, let's suppose I'd like to put a space between those at least. Okay, so I could do CS104 end equals a space. So just put a space in between, but they still end up on the same line. Okay, so now, they're on the same line, but there's a space because that first print printed CS104, and at the end it put a space. Now, these can be other characters. You can put any character that you want in here. So you can print other things at the end of the line. All right, so let's print name equals Roger, double quote, comma, and end equals a double quote, a comma, a double quote. So now it's going to put a comma after that. Okay, now let's print age equals 22, double quote, comma, end, again, equals a comma, so double quote, comma, double quote, there. Okay, and then print double quote, address equals, this is UAH, double quote, and then we'll close that one. Okay, so the end equals, that means that this is going to print name as Roger and a comma, stay on the same line, age is 22, comma, and then print UAH, and because I'm letting the default kick in, it's going to go to a new line after that. So now they're separated, okay? Roger, age, and then address. Okay, now they do run together a bit, don't they? So you can also put multiple characters in here. Let's suppose we want to print name Roger end as a comma and a space. Okay, so comma and a space. So it'll put both of those things at the end of the line. And then they're separated out a little bit. Okay, so we get the comma, the space, and the last one goes to a new line. Okay, so now you've got the \n or the \t, so they're escape sequences, plus you've got some control of the print statement using the end equals part.